I've made a couple of little mistakes at work. Something I kind of wanted to talk about because it's related to automation and some of the tasks that I am going to undertake in the next 2 weeks or so. One of the things that I've done is, so our structure, you don't get the community email, do you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. If you want to get it, I can add you. Anyways, so one of the things that we do is we have a format for the email. So it goes heading level 2, quick links for insert day's name, which is fine. Under that is links to all of the events. And then under that is heading level 3, time of the event, followed by event title. And then under the heading level 3 in normal font, which in my template is 18 point for low vision. So in normal font, it is the description of the event. Under that is join or listen live on ACB Media, which is in hyperlink style. Under that is join in Clubhouse if applicable. And then it says join in Zoom, new line, the name of the Zoom room, and then the meeting ID and passcode in the one-touch dialing, right? So that's how we have all of the events set up. Longtime listeners / followers on Mastodon / anyone who's listened to me be excited about some of the things that I've automated with my job know that I worked with ChatGPT and built a VB script that grabs all of the heading level 3 links, because those are, I forgot to mention, those with the time and the title of the event are clickable links that takes them into Zoom. It grabs those links and then it puts them under quick links for the day, which is a heading level 2. So people can easily just click those links. And then I don't have to go copy and paste and change the styling, make our computers work for us.
Right.
The advantage to that is quick links are automatically generated. The disadvantage to that is if Michael screws up the heading level 3 with the title and the time, then the quick links are also screwed up because it's doing literally what it's supposed to do. So there's been a couple of instances over the last 2 weeks where I messed up the heading level 3, but the link that says join in Zoom is correct. So, for example, we moved someone to a different room. I fixed that link, but I did not fix the heading level 3. Therefore, the quick links were broken too because I never updated heading level 3, so quick links never got updated. So what I've done with JAWS is I went in and I set https://acb-org.zoom.us/j/ to actually just be a sound with the JAWS sound scheme, not sound scheme, but the dictionary manager. So all I hear is that meeting ID. And one of these days, what I probably will do is go update the meeting ID to the actual room title. So it'll just read the room title so I can verify if that's correct. And then I go in and I check those links now in the heading level 3s and verify that they match what's under the join in Zoom. So that way, at least all of those links match, which means the quick links match. So on the Mac, because I was looking at the email, I literally I sent out like 45 minutes ago, but I scheduled it and it just went out at 7 our time. I was looking at the emails or at the links, and of course, VoiceOver, you can do VO Shift U, which is magic. Love that keystroke. And it kept reading the https://acb-org.zoom.us/j/meeting ID. So I went into VoiceOver utility, went down to speech, chose text replace. That is not what I chose. I chose. That is totally different.
That I know what you're talking about, and I don't remember the exact name of it.
Pronunciations.
Yeah,
yes.
It's how I fix it and make it say my name right.
Mm-hmm. So I look in this table, and I have Zoom. So in the left column, I have https://acb-org.zoom.us/j/*, because without the asterisk there, it did not work. And then I have the word Zoom, and then it's set for all apps, and the checkbox in the rightmost column is checked. So that should work, but it doesn't. And it also brought up a frustration that I have with Apple. Like, do Apple engineers never do this? Because try editing that text in that far left column. I don't know how to do it. Maybe.
Yeah, because it doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah, like you can't edit that text. You have anyways. Many frustrations.
It is like that, and that is one of those things where, despite everything else going on, like I really wish Apple could and would, and I say could because I don't work for Apple and I don't actually know anybody at the moment that works inside of Apple that could even tell me anything, if they would tell me anything, which they probably wouldn't, about what's actually going on, right? And I've made statements previously on the show that I feel like internally there are specific goals that Apple is trying to hit when it comes to privacy, security, and encryption. I feel like those are three things that they're really pushing towards, trying to get to a point so it becomes infinitely more difficult to undo what they have done. And I think a lot of things are suffering for that. Now, that could be the reason. I feel like that is a part of the reason. But at the same time, I also feel like, and there's some, writings out there that kind of reinforce this, that once you get past a certain point of an OS release, they're on to the next one. And they're no longer really fixing anything that's not catastrophic or 0-day vulnerabilities in the current OSs. And because, in our hierarchical, I think we did this on the show, like which do we think is more important to Apple versus what we wish was more important to Apple? iOS is at the top of that list. So things get fixed in iOS quicker than they're going to get fixed on the Mac. And way down that Mac list, which is already far down the list of priorities, I feel, is VoiceOver on the Mac. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work or that is broken and has been broken for years. So your experience in those tables, and if you look at any other table views that are like that, a lot of them are very much the same. So I think it's more the table view issue. You see it in third-party apps as well, where there's a table here and you left column, you do this, the right column, you do that. And if you screw up, you basically got to erase it and just start over from scratch. There's not any editing of it because it doesn't work. Like it simply does not work. Your cursor does not behave in the way you expect it to.
Yeah. I'm going to try something here. So I did figure out how to get it so you can edit it, but it's stupid.
Did you have to
down
interact with
arrow.
it?
So I down arrowed to, because I grabbed the entire link for this meeting room. I down arrowed to it. Now if I hit tab, it does put me in an edit field where I can actually use my arrow keys to edit that. But the expected behavior, in my opinion, is that when I'm on that row in that cell, I should be able to either use my arrow keys or edit. But this is consistently working. So it doesn't solve my, well, I'll tell you in a second if it does solve my problem, because I think I know what I have to do. Nope.
You're right.
Sure didn't.
That tab does work sometimes. Yeah. I forget that because you don't do it until you're in the frustration, like I really need to fix this, and then you just start pressing anything to see if it works. You're like, oh, okay, I'm in there. I edited it. And next time you have to figure it out again.
But my point is, why the hell does your pronunciation dictionary thingy not work?
So let's see. I'm going to try the same thing that you did.
I haven't tried changing voices. So my default voice was Alex. I switched over to whatchamacallit, Eloquent.
Okay. HTTPS : I'm going to go.
Even just zoom.us/j/ if you can find a Zoom link that says zoom.us.
Nope, doesn't work.
But if you type QTY on its own line, I guarantee it's going to say quantity.
Maybe.
Unless you deleted that out of the pronunciation.
QTY. Yep, it says quantity.
Yep. So here's what I'm going to do, people, because I'm going to hold Apple / myself accountable. I'm going to call Apple Accessibility tomorrow and ask them, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Because maybe there is something I'm doing wrong. I don't believe that is the case, but I've gotten into calling tech support more often than not over the last month and a half. I spent probably 2 days on the phone with Microsoft to help get some formatting and templating and stuff like that done right. I spent some time with Vespero. So Apple gets to get some phone calls from me. And you know what? I got no problem with talking to Apple. And it's more likely to happen than actually sending them an email. Just saying. They may have no answers for me, though. But I'll let you guys know what they say. So remind me about that, Damashe. Actually, I'm adding it to to-do list right now. which, yes, I've been using every single day this week. And I just set a to-doist to call Apple tomorrow afternoon.
Nope. Okay. So I tried hacking it a little bit. It didn't work. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did the same way I did it. So it should be working, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I even tried changing voices because that was my thought. Well, maybe it's the voice settings.
No, it's not the voice.
I know what Apple's going to tell me to do. So I better just go make a backup now of my VoiceOver settings.
Reset your settings to default.
Yeah, they're gonna have me reset my VoiceOver settings to default because they're gonna say it's a setting that I changed. So I will make sure that I make a backup of my VoiceOver settings.
Yeah, do an export, which is a good thing to do in general, especially when you're going to switch computers or as a part of your backup strategy, which is something I need to implement because I don't think I have no idea where VoiceOver preferences are stored. But I don't think things like Backblaze or whatever actually back those up. And if they do, again, I have no idea where they're stored, which I'm going to go now and ask GPT. I built a Hazel rule today with GPT, which is cool. You helped me out with the syntax. I built a Hazel rule.
Oh, with GPT?
Yeah.
I thought you said I built a Hazel rule for GPT, and I was trying to figure out, does that mean like you have a folder set up so whenever you download something from GPT, it moves it there or something?
Yeah, no, not like that at all. Where are the configuration settings for VoiceOver?
Do you feel like ChatGPT has gotten smarter? I wish it would tell me no or I don't know more.
So I think it's gotten, okay, hold on, because now I promise we're going to fix the show. This is not going to be the whole show of us just typing shit in. Okay, let's see. Preferences? No. Let's see, that was wrong. Okay, so that answer was wrong. Apparently it's stored in user preferences up under your library, but it's not stored as VoiceOver preferences or whatever it said, which doesn't make sense. What was your question? Has GPT gotten smarter? I feel like smarter wouldn't necessarily be the way that I would explain what I feel like is going on. I feel like it's gotten more refined in the way that it gives answers. But I've also noticed, and this is going to differ, I think, for a lot of people, because I have noticed in specific instances where I have asked questions of GPT, and the answers I got back are based off information that it has stored about me that I didn't even really know it was keeping track of. So an example would be I was looking at, and I'm going to call these the wrong thing, but they're condenser air conditioners. It's not exactly what they're called. Evaporative air conditioning or something. I don't know. Anyway, basically the idea is there's a chamber of water. It sucks water and uses that to cool the air that it blows out. But it also, but one of the side effects apparently of those types of devices is that it also can create humidity in the space that you're using it in. So I asked GPT about these because I was like, I'm not familiar with those. Would this be a solution for my garage? And I was like, yeah, if you want to keep it cool and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. However, this may not be great for products that you're storing in that location if you want to understand. I was like, oh, okay. So you remember that I asked a long time ago about something to do with some products in the garage. So I'm noticing more things like that where it seems to give me relevant answers based off long ago information that is probably stored about me because I've asked those types of questions. And I think it's refining its answers a little more. But it also gets stuff wrong. Like it just told me where to look for these preferences. That is not where they are on a modern version of macOS. But, Apple probably doesn't even know where they are stored, to be honest, as far as there's a backup and an export of them because they're probably tangled up in 7 different plist files.
Yeah, and if you go into your iCloud settings and system settings, there's an option that says save to iCloud, And then if you hit see all, there's in there, which is very interesting, of course, all my other apps, but then it has VoiceOver utility, which is on, and VoiceOver, which is on. So what's the difference in those two, Apple? If I turn VoiceOver, and I don't think that's ever come over to my new computer, to the best of my knowledge. So,
well, here's the thing that may be new, like relatively new. And you may have not reinstalled or switched to a new computer since they added that feature.
I have not. Well, yeah, I don't know. But
because we don't know when they added it either.
Yeah.
Like it literally could have been in 15.4 if you've updated to 15.4.
Yeah, I remember seeing that a while ago somewhere. Maybe not both of those options, but still. They are both on, so maybe one of these days if I reset this computer, which I am less inclined to do. But Desert Spinner is the name of our dryer.
Desert Spinner. Okay.
Yes. I think that's what it said. Yeah, Desert Spinner is the name of our dryer, and Washy May is the name of our washer. And Sniffy McGee is the name of our vacuum cleaner.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, so you have a smart vacuum.
Yeah, we have a smart vacuum.
So I think you told me about this because I think it was on sale for like a crazy discounted price, and you guys bought it, a few months ago maybe?
Yeah, around Black Friday time, I think. And it empties itself. And I don't remember the name of it or what model it was or anything like that. Well, I remember its name. Its name is Sniffy McGee because I'll text Mallory because she has it set up on her phone. I don't have it set up on my phone, but I'm like, hey, can you run Sniffy in the kitchen? And we were able to teach it different things. Although it does not like it when we rearrange our living room. It's not happy when you do that. You got to reteach it.
Well, don't die. Oh man. So outside of refining some automation stuff, what else has been going
on? I mean, really, that's a lot of about it. I've been doing a lot of streaming, researching some speakers. So in the near future, I may pick up some tower speakers that I can use at different places because the cost of eggs is directly related to the cost of using some hotels' audio systems just to plug in a freaking cord to the wall. It is stupid expensive. So when I got that information, I'm like, but we don't need your overhead projector. And they're like, yeah, but that's part of the audio video setup. And so I started investigating speakers. I haven't pulled the trigger on any yet, but that might be a thing. And I'm not sure how I feel about that because I'm really not going to use them that much. Although if I have them, maybe I'll use them more. So,
I was going to ask if you have I know Guitar Center, or I can't say I know because I've never actually been inside of a Guitar Center, but I think Guitar Center and maybe some other music places may actually rent that sort of equipment out so that you don't have to buy it outright. You pay maybe, I'm just guessing maybe $50, $60, something like that, $100 for a couple of days, and then you take it back. So you don't have to own them when you don't necessarily see a need for them.
That's a good call. Maybe I'll call, we do have a Guitar Center, so I'll call them and see if they have that, because as long as I know what the inputs and outputs are, between Mallory and I, we can figure out what we need to do to make it work.
Yeah, and most speakers that you're looking for or that they will probably have will have an option or have the capability to use an XLR cable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the approach I would go for first, since you don't directly, it's not one of those situations that we love. And we honestly love these type of situations where I have to buy this because I need it for this thing. And I also been wanting it too, but now I have justification to buy this thing.
Yeah.
This is actually the opposite of that. I really don't want to buy these, but also I'm not going to pay $500 to use your freaking system. So I'll buy some speakers, but I don't really want them.
Yeah. But
I think if you can rent them, that would get them where you need them to be, where you need them to be when you need them. And maybe in your usage of them on random occasions, you may discover that you need some and then start shopping around, or you may decide nope, I'll just rent these when I need them. And that's that.
Yeah, I think that could be an option. The other thing is, if you renting them is so much easier than buying them with the intention of returning them, because Damashe has a wireless body pack and a transmitter that I had full intentions of returning, but never did. So I just threw them in a box and sent them to Damashe, which makes no sense, except for I think life got in the way and it was over the holiday and stuff like that. And by the time that I'm like, oh, I need to return this, it was outside the window. So you may have the best of intentions to return something, but it's so much easier to just rent something and then you have to return it. Like if you don't, then you're going to get charged outrageous amounts of money. So
yeah. And it, another option there with renting too is, again, it's not a product that you need to have on hand, but it also gives you an opportunity to experiment with some things and not have to spend the money to buy it and then return it because, oh, well, that didn't work out the way I thought it would, which is also a thing that happens.
And if I rent something from a local store, if something doesn't work with my setup or there's any issues, it's easier to return it because I think there's a Guitar Center like 5 blocks away from where we'll be. So
yeah, there you go. And I should see if there's a Guitar Center near me. I don't think there. I feel like I looked at one point and there wasn't one.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's an AV or audio store near you somewhere.
Yeah, probably somewhere. I'll just have to look. I haven't been doing as much AV audio stuff.
I have a box ready to go to Jacob. I have a box that's almost ready to go to Jacob. And then I have a box ready to go to JJ. And JJ's going to love this box. It's full of broken blind shells. I think there's 5 or 6 in there. Maybe only 4.
So I don't have a box, but I have stuff ready to send to you. I just need to jar up your seasoning, actually. Because I was like, I probably should send them more than one jar, even though there was one jar that came back. I was like, I probably should send more than one jar since everybody keeps taking it.
I've only had one person take it. And that was more Mallory said, you're going to keep this so you can use it. And then she used it and liked it, I think. I actually don't know. Do you need a Dream Router? You don't need one of these, do you?
Not that I can think of. I'm trying to think. Could possibly use it as an additional access point.
My thought was, if you didn't need it, then I might wire it up to our current network and see if I can use it in like a bridge mode form. Because you know what? Ben has great internet. Mallory has great internet. Michael in the garage has okay internet.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now too, because I'm still on Wi-Fi. I hadn't strung any cable up, but I also need to go buy access points. Oh, wait, did I tell you about the attic space up here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We talked about you dropping cables down where you're going.
Oh, okay. So no, I haven't told you about it then.
Okay.
So I went up there with I did mean to talk about this on the show, and we didn't talk about it because I forgot by the time we did the show. So update on the overhead attic crawl space, whatever. So number one, I found out because I didn't know this, the furnace is up there. So that's great.
So it's covered up there.
Look, man, there's nothing going on up there because it's all covered in insulation. Except for 2 boards that will walk you out from where the ladder comes up and then makes a right angle turn to the left so that you can get over to where the furnace is. And that's it. Everything else is insulation.
Oh, okay.
So it needs a floor. So there's nothing happening up there because it needs a floor. And yeah, I don't own the house. So I'm definitely not investing in that, to do that. It's also extraordinarily hot up there. And we ain't even got to summer yet. So the day that I did climb all the way up there, I put on my meta glasses. I updated them and did all that and put them on. And I did a BMI. Nope, BME. BMI is something different. But I used to be my eyes on the meta glasses. And I used the flashlight from my phone because I couldn't find a flashlight. Wait a minute now. Hold on. I thought I flipped my phone over, but I didn't. So I used be my eyes on the glasses. I used the flashlight from my iPhone and climbed up far enough that my shoulders were up and I could turn and look in different directions. And me and the BMI, let's do it again. Me and the Be My Eyes what do you call them? Agent?
Volunteer.
Volunteer. There you go. That's the word I was trying to find. Okay, hold on. So me and the Be My Eyes volunteer were able to look around the space. It is rather big. And if I owned the house, I probably would look at trying to finish it and make it into an actual usable space because it's rather big up there. But it currently just has insulation. So I was like, I'm not going across that to do anything. So that is out. So my plans have changed, and it's fortunate that I had not yet made the purchase that me and you discussed on the phone. I know we didn't talk about this on the show, but the switches, the power over Ethernet switches I was going to purchase. And I was debating on whether to buy one or buy the 3-pack. And the 3-pack was like not significantly cheaper, but it was less. And I probably would end up needing the second one at some point anyway. So, and maybe just a third one around for backup. But I never pulled the trigger on those because I was like, I really need to get up there and see what I'm going to need, because the idea struck me, well, if I run my cabling right, I might be able to just drop one access point up there in the middle and then just run cable to where I needed to get to. Because I don't need to wire up a whole bunch of stuff at the moment. I would like it out here where I'm at. I'd like to go ahead and put my Reolink power over Ethernet doorbell up on the outside of the garage. So I need a cable to get over there. And that's basically about it. I mean, I want to put the Apple TVs on Ethernet, but that would have been a simple drop if I was able to use the ceiling. But now, since I can't use that space up there, that completely changes the entire layout. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've had thoughts of maybe getting like a little rack or something and putting all the network gear out here in the office. Although this may or may not be the office all that long, because man, it was hot in here the other day.
And it's only April.
Yeah, right. It's only April. The heater that I had out here worked great. The fan worked okay the other day when I was out here doing some work. As I told Tia, like, it's going to suck doing podcasts in the summertime because there's no fan running out here while we're podcasting, because I can't take it. And if I have to edit, I'm going to curse myself out the whole time I'm editing that. So, yeah,
I
we won't do
mean,
that.
a fan wouldn't be bad, just saying, because RX denoise / alphonic denoise would take a fan out. Like, that wouldn't be horrible.
Let's see.
Just throwing that out there, because it's all the same frequency, same sound. It's not like cars driving by or something, which RX can do, but it struggles with.
It struggles because it's not a consistent sound.
Yeah, but I think a fan would be fine, because we could easily clean that up.
Okay, so I just turned this fan on. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm going to let it run for a few minutes.
Okay.
And see if you pick it up in the recording, if it takes it out. But essentially, I'm thinking about completely redoing the entire networking setup and putting all of the gear out here, since I can't stick it up there. Because one, even if it was finished right now, it's way too hot up there. And again, we have not reached the middle of summer, so it would quickly surpass the temperature tolerances for electronics if I was to lay things out up there. Putting everything out here in the office, or at least in this room, even if this no longer is an office at some point, at least everything is out here. It's away from the house. So, guests / children / curious adults / I have no idea what this cord does, but I'm going to unplug it because I need this outlet, people.
That never happens.
Wreck my network. Yeah, so the cable guy did it to me when he came over here and actually hooked up my modem.
Yeah.
I kept trying to figure out why something wasn't working, and turns out he unplugged the freaking UPS. So that was awesome. It's like, hey,
that's handy.
Backup battery, dude. Like, it says it right there on the side. UPS. Anyway, so I've thought about doing that, which doesn't negate me having to run cable anywhere, but I can get cable long enough to run it around, across the ceiling in some instances, which I really hate, but I can probably run most of it around the what do you call the baseboard? That's not the baseboard, because it's not on the floor. It's up
trim
by the ceiling. Yeah, whatever. Trim. Yeah, there we go. I can run it around the trim like I did the front doorbell cable, and kind of keep it out of the way. I am using flat cables, so that's one aspect. The one thing I'm really curious about, and what I would like to do, because I do end up running a lot of Ethernet cable. Because as you know, and as long-time listeners know, I prefer stuff to be wired. If there's an Ethernet port on it, it's getting a cable.
Yep.
It's because I prefer hardwire. Also, I've been picking up a lot of power over Ethernet stuff, which is great. Except it's going to cost me money because I got to buy switches that can support power over Ethernet. But that's a different
and find
conversation.
Places to put them.
Yeah, that's a different conversation. But I was researching making your own Ethernet cable, basically getting a roll of Ethernet cable and then putting the ends on. And the thing that I'm concerned about at this moment is actually putting the ends on and having the cable work. There's supposed to be a simple solution that you buy and you run the cable through, and then it kind of assists in clipping it and all of that so that you get everything right.
Yeah,
but I don't
there's
know
a little
will it work?
$20 tool you can pick up.
Okay. So you probably have seen the thing that I'm talking about.
We have one.
Awesome.
When we got that big amount of Ethernet cable, we bought that tool and some ends from Amazon.
Cool. All right. So I will probably buy some of those just to have them on hand. I don't know that I'm going to go out and spend the money right now for a roll of cable because it's fairly expensive.
Yes.
You got a really good deal, dude.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You caught a really good deal when you did get some.
Yes.
But yeah, so that is a future plan. But I am thinking about putting the network stuff out here. That would give me power over Ethernet out here. I could run one cable to get the doorbell on the garage out here, and run a switch and probably put it up over where the TV is now, like up on the wall or behind the TV, somewhere like that. But mount it on the wall and then run any cables that need to be run for power over Ethernet or whatever in the house that way. I just got to think about solving the problem for when I put up more cameras, which I haven't bought them yet. So perhaps not buying power over Ethernet cameras would be smart. But I really want the power over Ethernet cameras because it gives me 24/7 recording capability back to my DVR, so it's not a DVR, it's a NVR for recording what's coming off the camera, which is better than hoping the camera manages to keep up and wake up when it needs to wake up. Because I feel like nobody has actually nailed that just yet. So we shall see what happens. More details to come.
Yes.
But if anybody has any ideas on or solutions that work, or even if they're just random ideas that you think of because you may know about a product that exists in the world that I don't know about, reach out. You can send email feedback at technicallyworking.show, and we'll give you the Mastodon info at the end. But especially if you have ideas for cooling, it doesn't have to be cold, just cooling, because I don't really want to get above like 75 degrees in the garage. That would be nice to manage that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to move these drinks somewhere else. And for cooling my office, which can be cold, I'm in here and I like to be comfortable. 75 degrees ain't all that comfortable.
So we have a couple of things to follow up on in the next week or so. Primarily for me related to this Apple thing, because I'm going through and checking all these links right now to make sure that the email that I sent out to over 3,000 people is accurate, because that's always fun. Because, I knew this was the case. And when I got told this, I just nodded my head and said, yep. So we send out 6 emails a week, right? If we have to send out a correction based on something that we messed up, because that's usually the only time we send out a correction, what do you think happens?
You start getting bounces.
Nope. I start getting people saying, what the F are you doing? And unsubscribing.
Yeah.
Which I get it. Like I get it. You expect 6 emails a day. So, or a week, not a day. So, yeah. I want to avoid having to send out multiple emails. So we'll follow up on that. I did publish TW on Monday of last week. It was Monday in Pacific time zone.
See, I don't know what time it published because I didn't think to check the bot until I think Tuesday or Wednesday. I was like, oh, it published the show. All right, cool.
Yeah, it was like 9:35 my time. So it was Monday on the West Coast. That was part of that was just I got done working. I didn't want to do anything on the computer. And then Mallory, I'm like, oh man, I really need to do this, but I can do it tomorrow. She's like, just get over there and get it done. I'm like, okay, I'll go do it now. So got that edited, cleaned up, not edited, cleaned up because there was no editing of that. I think I scrubbed through it like 2.25x real time, just listening for little things that needed cleaned up. So let us know if you like that format of the show because it's really almost live to tape. I don't think there was anything I took out of last week. There might have been, but I don't think so. So yeah, that's how the show's going. Unmute's going good. We breached 130,000 overall downloads yesterday, I think it was. So that's awesome. The mention.
Wait, how many?
What?
How many?
130,000.
Oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I heard those two different numbers separately, and it didn't make sense. I was like, wait, 100,000 or 30,000? Which one was it?
Yeah, we're at 130,506 downloads for
nice.
2024 in the last week. So that one's going up. However, we did tell you guys we would share our numbers. And hold on, Safari's not responding. So podcast not responding.
Speaking of Safari, just on a weird note, because I've noticed this twice now today as I've been using GPT in Safari, I'm not able to read my answers.
What?
Yeah, so I'll get to the heading that says GPT, you said, and GPT said, and then I'll go past and be like, thought about such and such for X number of seconds. And then there's the,
But if you hit Command-Shift-C, does that copy the answer to your clipboard?
You know what? I didn't do that. I went back and hit the copy button. Like if I go down to the bottom, like to the edit field and then come back up, I can see like the edit button, the copy button, share, whatever, all those buttons that are at the bottom of the response. But it's not seeing the response.
What model are you using?
That was 01.
Okay.
But also what has changed today is I updated to 15.4.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you've done that yet.
Let me see what I'm at. 36 gigabytes of RAM. That is so weird to read. I'm on 15.3.2.
Okay. So maybe I should have stayed where I was. I knew I shouldn't have updated. I knew it. Why did I do it?
Yeah, you updated before me. That's weird.
Yeah, it's partially because I ran top grade and there was a software update. And I was like, yeah, because there's some kind of bug or something they fixed. And I better just update to that version and we'll get past that. But apparently it's broken Safari.
Maybe. Try Chrome. So now
I hate Chrome.
Now that I got Safari responding again by killing VoiceOver, waiting about 3 seconds and then turning it back on. Literally, that was the only thing I did, and that reset VoiceOver enough so it'll respond.
Sometimes that works.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to force quit Safari.
So what I've learned when that's the case, instead of force quitting Safari, is turn VoiceOver off, tap escape twice, and then turn VoiceOver back on. And since I started doing that, I haven't had to actually use the command option escape to force quit Safari.
Huh. I'll have to try that next time it freezes up.
Total listens on this show that you're listening to is 16,723 with 156 listens in the last week. Too many features, not enough focus. What is that? Oh, too many features, not enough focus, tech that overdoes it. Not quite sure what that was about. Maybe I should go re-listen to the episode published 5 days ago. And there's been 122 listens. So that number has actually gone up a little bit. Not from the last time we reported, but there for a little while it was down to like 105, 107. So really appreciate you guys for either downloading it multiple times, listening to us on Victor, or sharing with a friend. So appreciate you. And share with more friends, please.
So one thing about this fan is that it is annoying me.
Oh, I hear it now.
It is what kind of fan is this?
Not a Dyson.
Nope, it is not a Dyson. Man, I should have bought that freaking Dyson when it was on sale for either Prime Day or Black Friday or something. Mm-hmm. I should have bought it. I had the money to buy it. And I was like, nah, I don't really need to buy that. I mean, the fan's $200 or so bucks
for
on sale.
Not an air
on
conditioner,
sale.
but a fan.
Well, it did the cooling and the heating and stuff too. So I really should have bought it, but I didn't. And I'm going to probably eternally regret not buying that fan because I guarantee it's not going to ever be that cheap again.
eBay, sir. eBay.
Oh, man, screw a bunch of eBay. I should go to eBay, though. Check out eBay. I need to go post some things on eBay. Speaking of stuff I bought that I didn't return. But we'll see how that goes. Wait, who's FedEx package?
Who? You got a FedEx package?
Oh, okay. It's my package. Okay. I was trying to figure out if the FedEx email was for me or if it was for AT guys.
So I have one last topic that I want to wrap it up with, unless you have anything else. That way today's a little shorter, so I'm not pushing 9:30 to edit tomorrow because we are recording on a Monday. And first I'll ask, do you have something?
Nope, other than to report, and we can follow up on this a little bit more because I'm not actually done building out the script, but I started working on a script that will let me connect to the API of Cantaloupe to pull. At the moment, I started with a script that will pull a quarterly report from one of my locations, which is UWA. I can tell you where it is. It's not a huge secret. But pull a quarterly report from UWA's machines only, and give me the gross amount, the net amount, and the service fees that I've made, which I could calculate those numbers by adding the net to the fees. But just to double check that it's giving me what I want. I want the whole number of all the money that came through that machine, and then what was taken out for fees by the company, and then what did I actually get deposited in my account. And that's because I have to pay a commission to the university, which isn't terrible. But started working on that, and I want to build it. Once I got that working, I kind of got to the point where it's like, okay, well, I got that working. But now, what if you asked me for the time frame? Okay, let's do that. All right, now, then the next step is going to be, well, what if I give you a machine location or... which I actually want to make a group. So like Tuscaloosa should be a group. The rest area should be a group. UWA should be a group of machines. And then, it's not going to give me crap out of the prison because I only got 2 card readers down there. So I don't worry about that one.
Sure makes you think about things in an analytical way, or not analytical way, but in a logical way. Like, where is it that I can group these things and how can I ask for that data? Yeah.
And what's the way to instruct it so that it will give me the output that I actually want, right? Which I will end before we get to your last topic on. There's been a lot going around about vibe coding, which is probably going to be the last time you hear me use that. It's kind of like listen to my podcast.
Never. Go subscribe to the pod.
No. Like us telling you that people say these things is the only time you're going to hear me say them at all. Mike's probably going to be out here talking about his pod in the next couple of months, just because Mike does weird stuff.
If I do, let's talk. Because
I'm quitting the show.
Okay, I respect that.
But there's been a lot out here about that coding style, and essentially what it is, and it made me think about. I heard a really good conversation. Unfortunately, if you're not a ATP member, which I'm not going to promote their show, but I mean, if you're not an ATP member, you won't hear this conversation. But their conversation was about that style of coding, and somebody's question of, will that eventually negate the need for there to be programmers? I'm going to short answer that question, which is no, it won't. The other part, and I really thought about this in the context of you, because you started doing this more and got more involved and deeper into it than I did initially with GPT of writing little scripts and different things, that you are actually in a way programming. It is a higher level of programming. It's like the difference in writing assembly language versus, writing
Python.
C++ or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're abstracted several layers away from what needs to happen or what's going on, but you're still coding because, again, you can't just write, hey, make me a to-do app. Okay, here's a to-do app. Okay, then you're like, well, I don't like this thing. When I do this, it should do that now. And it's like, okay, well, here's the new part. So as you're going through that process, you're actually programming, because in order to get what you ultimately want out of it, you're gonna have to think the way that you have to think in order to write code in the first place. It's just that you're not actually writing code, you're having a conversation, but it's very similar. And for both me and you, I feel like it is pushing us further down that path of actually one day sitting down with a text editor and being like, well, I kind of know how to do this part, so I'm just going to write that right there and just use the autocomplete to fill in that piece.
VS Code, man. VS Code. Yeah, I was looking at some code that was being written, and I'm like, oh, they're using the list, and they're getting information out of the list this way. Okay, that makes sense to me. A year ago, it would have been like, I don't understand a single thing.
I don't know what it did. What is it doing? It worked. Yep. I don't know what the hell it did, but it worked. Yeah.
And ask questions about the code that it generates for you. So this is my PSA for individuals, especially individuals who aren't as tech savvy as you and I are. I learned today about a scare that we had with that a family member had. And this family member got 3 phone calls in a row from a local area, and her significant other travels a lot for work. So her mind went to, oh, this is the 3rd time within about, it was less than 5 minutes. Maybe he had something that happened to him. And she answered the call, and they told her that it was a voice she didn't recognize, that she needed to go to her bank and she needed to pull out all the money that she had and take it to the courthouse because she had a bench warrant. So she went to the bank and told them that she wanted to take, and she was also told not to disconnect the phone. She went to the bank, told them that she wanted to take all the money out, and the teller said, why? And she said, this is why, actually the teller asked her like 4 or 5 times why, and she wouldn't tell her. And the fifth or sixth time, she said, because I have a bench warrant and I need to take this money to the courthouse. And the teller, thankfully, thank you, teller, said, this is a scam. And she's, the family member said, no, it's not. I have them on the phone. It's not a scam. It's legit. And the teller's like, no, it is. Bring your phone in and let me talk to them. So a couple of times of prompting her to do that again, she finally brought in the phone and talked to the teller, or handed it to the teller, and the teller talked to the person, and they cussed the teller out. And then she realized that it really wasn't actually what was going on. So the partner of the teller went and was calling the cops to let them know what was going on at this point. And the family member went home, and there were cops at her house. And she was, of course, shooken up at that point and very concerned. So didn't actually open the door to the cops or anything, but talked to them through the door. And they told her how several people have been scammed like this. And they were glad that the teller stood up and made sure that she didn't give away her life savings. But you and I have both, I know you've heard of this happening. I've heard of it hundreds of times on tech, but it really emphasized to me that it's close to home. It's one thing hearing it happening to others and you have thoughts about how that would really suck. But then when you learn about this happening to one of your family members, it's like, this isn't cool anymore. Like, it never was cool, but it has a whole nother level to it. So I wanted to bring that up. If you ever get a call like this, know that if worst came to worst and you were in that situation where that would be an issue, you're going to get served with papers. They're not going to just call you and tell you to go to the bank and take all your money out. But the way that they sound convincing is bad enough, especially to someone who isn't tech savvy.
Well, there's the not being tech savvy, but there's also not being system savvy in that particular instance, right? Like, most people don't know how bench warrants work.
Mm-hmm.
They just told you got a bench warrant. If you don't do X, Y, Z, they're going to lock you up. Right. And nobody wants to be locked up. So you start trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I handle this? But nobody expects to be served with papers. Like, I would know that doesn't sound right because I kind of know a little bit more about how that system works. So if you're going to, serve me with paper, you got to serve me with papers first before you can say we're going to lock you up. Like, hey, you got such and such. So there's that. And then the thing is that I think you were trying to say is, like, it becomes less abstracted when it happens to someone that you personally know versus it being, I heard this story about some person that I don't know, and like, that was a terrible thing, and I hope this doesn't happen to anybody. But when it happens to somebody that's closer to you, it becomes very quickly less extracted from, the norm. I will add a couple of things to that. First, I'm going to give people we're going to do the reverse sandwich because you gave people advice. So I will add some scariness in the middle of that, and then I will wrap it up with some things that should help people feel a little bit better. And it's funny that this came up, or that you brought this up, because I was just telling Tia the other day, and I was joking, kind of, because she's been getting a call from a random area code in Georgia, a place that she's never lived, and the only people I know that might have her number in that area, she would have their number in her phone, because their number hasn't changed. There's actually only maybe 2 people that will have her number that will be calling her from that area code. But anyway, the person's calling her just sitting there on the phone breathing, which is kind of weird for 2025. I thought that was over. Yes, so, find something else to do with your life. So she started out just, like, oh, okay, you're not going to say anything, hanging up. So one day they called, and they just called her at a moment of silliness, which we all kind of have sometimes. And she was listening to a book. So she's like, oh, I'm going to tell you about what's happening in this series that I'm reading in. Right? Mm-hmm. She told them all that and then hung up. Oh, you still not going to say anything? Okay, I'll hang it up. So I jokingly, this is why I said slightly joking, I said, at this point, you have talked to them enough that they have recorded your voice, and now they can make a deep fake of you using AI. So here is a warning on top of Michael's PSA, which is, and I said this to Tia, and I'm telling everybody that you should do this, just like you should have a plan for what happens to you, and you don't want to think about it, but what happens to your data when you die. Like, figure out a way for somebody to be able to get into your 1Password, your LastPass, or whatever. Like, do something so that can be done. The other thing that we're going to have to start to think about as people, as this becomes easier and easier for people to do, is know your family members well, or set up some type of phrases or turns of phrase that can be used if they ever are actually in trouble and they need you to do a thing. Because now we're getting very close to a point. We're at a point now. It's not as easy for everybody to do it, because not everybody's like me and Mike and has literally hundreds of hours of audio of us talking out there in the world. But it's trivially easy, and it's only going to get easier to fake somebody's voice. Mm-hmm. So you can't even count on, and it's been so easy to spoof phone numbers at this point that I don't even bother to show people that I can do it anymore, just to make the point. So, you could very easily be tricked by picking up the phone and hearing somebody's voice that and it sounds like them, and they're in some type of emergency situation. They need you to go to the bank and take all your money out and go to the Western Union or something. And any oddnesses that you may pick up on in their voice, because it is computer generated, most people are going to write off to the stress of the situation if you pick it up at all, right? And again, we're very rapidly approaching a point where you're not really going to be able to tell the difference. So pick out some phrases. In some instances, people well enough to know what they would and wouldn't say. So, there's turns of phrase that people would use. I'm like, yeah, that person wouldn't say that. I would never say something like this. So don't go for that. But if you're at all in that type of situation, talk to your family members. Like, make sure you have certain phrases. Like, look, if I ever really need you to send me some money, one thing I'm going to say to you is fluffy teddy bear. Okay. So it's me, and I really do actually need you to go wire me this money. I don't care anything else you hear. Tell you my leg is broken, I've been shot 17 times, and they won't see about me in this emergency room unless I give them $1,000. Screw that. If I don't say fluffy teddy bear, I ain't got nothing to do with me. It's fake.
Yep.
And if I forget to tell you fluffy teddy bear, then that's my own problem.
That's my problem. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that part of things to be aware of. Now, we'll wrap this up in a way to kind of make people feel a little bit better about all of this stuff, because it can happen to anybody. Anybody can be tricked. And I will finish up with the very quick story of Troy Hunt. And Troy Hunt built the Pawn to Own website. Mm-hmm. And just about every password manager out there now uses that database to check against, has your email or password been shown up in a breach? Very well-known guy in the security industry. He still consults with governments, like not just companies, but also governments on cybersecurity. He got. And it came down to a very simple, well, two things. Exhaustion on his part, because he'd been traveling, so some jet lag, and a sense of urgency given in a way that I know all of us in tech have seen this at some point if you deal with email marketing at all. Got an email from MailChimp, or it looks like MailChimp, that said, hey, we've gotten several spam complaints, so we're suspending your account. You won't be able to send email until you log in and, do XYZ, right? Now, the thing is, I got this off security now. The email, but he very quickly, like after fixing what he could fix, I think he said within 22 minutes of it happening to him, like he had changed his password and all that, and he published the initial, fallout of what had happened to him on his website in a blog post. But the email that he posted, like, it sounded legitimate. Like, I have actually seen a similar email from MailChimp. Like, some of the wording may have been different, but I've seen that email. We've all seen a similar email from somewhere. MailChimp, Aweber, ConvertKit. We've seen them. And there was a link to click, and he clicked it. And the mistake he made is he clicked the link in the email. And it took him to a website. And again, this could have happened to anybody because there are so many domains out there. And because of how people fracture their infrastructure, he was at MailChimp-SSO.com, which, just very briefly looking at it under those circumstances, okay, they're probably using one of those systems. Okay. And he tried to log in and it didn't log in. Tried to use his password, tried to use one password, it didn't put his password in. But this, is a different domain. It's mail-chimp-SSO.com. I mean, MailChimp-SSO.com, not SSO.MailChimp.com, which is what it should have been if that was actually really a MailChimp setup. But look, I've seen entirely separate domains where I've had to log into services, like it's /, mini orange, or whatever, right? So I've seen very strange domains. So he does the thing he types in his email and then he copies his password from one password, pastes it, logs in, puts in his two-factor. And as soon as he does it and gets the two-factor code in, it doesn't get redirected to where he expected to go. He realizes, oh crap, I just got. So he goes directly to MailChimp, logs in, changes his password. But because they were automating the whole process, as he typed in his password, it was saving that on the other end. When he gave them the 6-digit code, then it very quickly automated, scripted, logged into MailChimp, gave him the 6-digit code, and downloaded his database of subscribers before he was able to log into the website and change his password. All of that happened that fast. And I'm saying all this to say that, like, it can happen to any of us. There's other stories of cybersecurity experts getting caught just because they were having an off day. So don't beat yourself up is the point. Like, if you fall for one of these things, but I really encourage people, especially when money is involved, be exceptionally suspicious. Like, be overly suspicious. Be paranoid even. Because I would rather you be paranoid and not give away your life savings and irritate somebody that you actually are supposed to give some money to, as opposed to, you giving away your life savings and the police saying, "We're sorry, we can't do anything for you to recover your money."
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, shout out to the bank teller for pushing on that because that saved this person in that particular instance. So that'll do it for us this week, I think. This has been Technically Working episode 105.
Yep.
We'll see what Mike titles this one. You can email us feedback at technicallyworking.show. We're on Mastodon. The show is tw@technically.social. You can follow that account for updates and post when the show goes live. And eventually Mike will log in to that account and start posting random stuff. He's on Mastodon also. He's Payon, Payown, at dragonscave.space. That's DRAGONSCAVE.space. I I am Damashe, Damashe at technically.social. And you can always use the hashtag technicallyworking to interact with us on Mastodon.
Thanks again to all of our tip jar subscribers. We really appreciate you. And
have you seen the cost of eggs?
Yes.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it.
And we'll be back next week.